What is up, everybody, and welcome into the DNVR Nuggets podcast.
I can't compete with that. Are you kidding me?
I can't believe you're bringing this energy, man. This is what I'm talking about.
He's in studio.
Dane is in the
I can't
studio,
compete with
man. He doesn't usually do that, Dave.
I do it every
I thought he did it every time. That was my guess.
every time.
We're presented, as always, by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Use promo code DNVR whenever you sign up. Join us in the pregame show because we make money for everybody. You know you want to do it. I got Brendan Vogt in the house. You've already heard from him, the air horn, so I'll just go ahead and move along quickly.
I'll just sit back from there.
Yeah, just sit back. Take a couple minutes off here. I got Harrison Wind over here looking as good as always. You're looking great.
I don't think
today.
I have that same energy because I'm still exhausted from that game last night. I'm dead tired.
Can I be opposite of that? I'm energized, and I can't wait.
Great.
I'm telling you, this first segment, I'm ready to hopefully spit some fire. I don't know, but I'm very excited to talk about a topic that I think is going to be interesting and maybe frame the first half of this season. It's starting to come into focus for me. I feel like I'm starting to see some of the themes here. But of course, we are joined by one of my favorites around the blogosphere, covering the Minnesota Timberwolves for the Dane Moore NBA Podcast, and of course, I just put my notes up. Sportsnot, and then writing, of course, for Sportsnot, we got Dane Moore. Dane, good to see you.
And it's cool to be here. Harrison, Adam, Brendan, we've talked about DNVR for a long time and seen what you guys are doing, but it's cool to actually be here in person, and I'm proud of you.
You know, Dane has a good podcast because he just named it after himself. Like
It's so
that's
true.
when you know you've arrived as
It's
a
true.
podcaster.
Search engine optimization.
Right.
You know?
You just name it after yourself.
Exactly.
Do you think this show would do better if it was the Adam Matas podcast?
Oh my God, I'm actually gonna go.
Shouldn't have given you that idea,
Got
to
some
be
stuff
honest.
to do.
Maybe Harrison Wind podcast. I don't know. We'll work on it. Maybe we'll try it out. We're going to talk about the Timberwolves. I mean, there's still a ton of Nuggets Timberwolves crossover, even with Juancho out of the mix here. R.I.P. Juancho. Where is Juancho? Is he even playing?
Boston.
Yeah, I know he's in Boston.
Well,
but
he's
is
not
he-
exactly playing.
Yeah,
Not
is,
playing.
He's in Boston.
is he not playing coach decision, or is there something going on? I can't even. I
I
can't.
No,
think it's-
DMP CD.
Yeah, I
Yo,
think it's
okay.
mostly coach.
Dane, are you anxiously awaiting the release of the Sandler Wancho film as we are?
Oh, and Anthony Edwards is in it as well.
Is he really?
What? Yes.
No
This
way.
is must see movie
Wow.
stuff. That's great.
You know, that it makes you think, though, if Juancho was here, who would be in the movie?
Not Jokic.
Bones.
Well, yeah, but I think it filmed before the Bones era, but you're
Well,
right.
if I was thinking of filling out a cast for an Adam Sandler movie, like Anthony Edwards would be
Of course.
top of the
a great
list. Wancho wouldn't, but
Juancho
I'm
has the
excited
right
to see
look.
both of them.
Juancho has the right look. When you saw, what was it, the plot of this movie is he's a foreign prospect, but he's got it kind of, he's like
Troubled
Darko.
past.
Comes from a troubled
past.
past.
You look,
Yeah,
you look at Juancho and you're like, he looks like, I mean, he's a
he couldn't have
delicate
gotten
flower.
the part without the tats, is what you're saying.
Best tats in the league. I might tell me I'm lying. It's the best tats in the league.
You guys had a very different Wancho experience than we did.
We did. That's facts.
You know what's funny is we had the same Juancho experience. It's just for whatever reason we
Right.
all loved this goofy
Oh,
bastard.
that's so fun.
So we'll get into all of that here in a little bit. First, though, I want to tell you guys, remind you, there's lots and lots in the DNVR box.
Oh, God.
It rocks. It rocks. Right now, we're selling the DNVR box. So if you want to invite a friend into this beautiful DNVR universe that we have created with you, then you can do that. 2 T-shirts. Look at this.
Do they all have this beautiful floral
Oh,
arrangement on the cover?
I think none of them actually do. I
Okay.
think it's an uglier box than this one, but we dolled it up for the show. You get 2 T-shirts inside this box. You get a subscription to DNVR for 1 year, and then just for buying this gift for a friend, you don't even have to tell your friends this. You get $15 off the merch store.
Wow.
You get $15 to send. You can pretty much get a free shirt or hat or something like that with it. So the DNVR box.
Lots and lots in that box.
Man, that was really a clunky way to.
I don't think that box is going to make it to Christmas. Like, we might need to get a
I need
new
to
box.
retape it or something.
Yeah.
Do I get one of those?
We'll talk about that
Okay.
later off show. So
See how you do.
yeah, we'll see how you do today. Guys, Dane is here, and we're going to talk about the Timberwolves a lot. We're going to preview this game, but I have to start. I'm sorry, we have to start somewhere else. We were having informal hot box and hot takes in our group chat last night after watching this game because the media reaction on our show and really just for everybody watching was, oh, Tony Brothers, Jokic ejected, like all these layers to it. But you go back and watch that game, or even if you just go back and watch the highlights of that game through 3 quarters.
Just watch the third quarter.
Jokic was as dominant, I think, as possible. It's not. Other guys have had great 3 quarters or this or that. Jokic controlled that game to a level that was like, I don't know what you would do better than that.
And a deep irony to him once being the sort of analytics darling, because last night the eye test actually told you way more than the box score. I mean, his box score was incredible, but to your point, you coined it as flat-footed dominance in a tweet. Loved that. He literally wasn't jumping at times, and it was dominance with ease in a manner that even for Jokic, it was eye-popping.
Dane, you watched the game?
I did, yes.
Were you as impressed with Jokic prior to the meltdown, but were you as impressed?
I was, and so I kind of like looking at it versus the way that the Wolves played Washington like 10 days ago. And one, it was just striking to me how different Washington approached guarding Nikola Jokic versus Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
And Kuzma was out for that game. But
Right.
what Washington did was just guard Cat with Kuzma. And
What?
And then bring – I mean, that's been a theme all year for the Wolves where they're – Jared Vanderbilt, former Nugget, is starting but can't shoot, isn't spacing the floor.
Right.
So centers are staying on Vanderbilt.
Makes
and
sense.
then once Cat tries to, fight his way into the lane, then the center comes over there for the double. And so what stood out to me is it was so easy for Jokic. He did his work early. He got deep. He was able to seal Gafford. He was able to do all those things. Whereas for Cat, it was so difficult, to get his position. The Wolves' offense is obviously so similarly predicated around Cat as the Nuggets is around Jokic, but it was a massive struggle through the first quarter to get any sort of rhythm going when the Wolves played the Wizards. And I was just like, man, why is this so much easier for Jokic?
Yeah. It was so easy, and Jokic came out of halftime trying to make sure he didn't have to play the fourth quarter.
Right.
Like he came out in the third, and he broke the Wizards' spirit.
Yeah.
Like he pretty much made them give up, at least in that third quarter. Daniel Gafford got this technical foul on Jokic, and it was one of those like, ref, I don't know what to do. He's just too good. I can't do anything. Technical fouls.
Right.
Like he just threw his hands up. He's like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
The guy's just too good. He broke their spirit in the third, and that's what he's been doing to teams because it has been so easy and there's no answer.
Even aside from the metaphorical breaking of the spirits or this or that of it, Jokic just has no weaknesses on offense, and he's pretty good defensively. But on offense, there's just none. And I think even for great players like Karl Anthony Towns, there's first, can you do everything from a skill set standpoint? And I think Towns can.
Yeah.
He has every skill set. But then there's do you recognize what to do in every moment? And then there's, do you recognize it in a split second? And Jokic is at that third level where not only can he do everything, and not only does he know when to do what, but he recognizes it immediately. So every time down the court, he sees the balance of the court and is like, here's how this play is going to go. Gets right into it, does something, and it's just like every possession is, that's why it looks so easy, is because he's operating mentally 3 seconds ahead of everybody, and then he also just can do everything. So no matter what you do, you're picking a poison, and he's like, yeah, I'll pick that one. It's fine. Yeah. You're going to die this way. Let's get this possession.
And that's the gap between him and Cat right now.
Right.
I mean, Cat is actually better than Jokic at some things.
Yeah, shooting.
And for sure shooting. And at the same time, I mean, just objectively speaking, it's not close.
Right.
Comparing those two players right now. And it goes back to, it is difficult for Cat to exploit those mismatches where Jokic is reading it better, but he's also reading it quicker.
Yeah.
Right.
When I watch him play compared to Cat, and so if Cat can do things better, if he is a better athlete, if he is a better shooter, he's not able to get to those things as quickly, and then the opposing defense is going to be able to.
Yeah.
It's that 1 second, right? Like
I
that
think
makes
it's
the difference.
lossless. Like, it's not 1 second. This is the thing. It's honest to God instantaneous. There's no delay right now in Jokic's decision making.
Or ahead of time premeditated setup. Like what
Totally.
So I think he's doing more dictating than reacting, right?
Yeah.
To what defenses are doing. And I mean, he's reacting as well, but he's never caught off guard by what comes next. And so I think there's just this, it's the instantaneous decision making. But I do think even more so than Jokic would probably admit, he sees the floor and assesses what's coming before.
This is what's funny about Wilder and Fury, right? When they had this latest fight, and Fury kept saying, like, you can't beat me with bad footwork. He's like, this guy punches hard, man. He throws as hard as anyone. But guess what? I can read him every time, and he's going to throw him, and maybe he gets lucky and connects one, but odds are he's not, because I'm seeing everything he's doing, and I just react to it better. And that's how Jokic is. It's like, all these guys, players are good, but if you have little mistakes, I see them, and I'm just going to get them every single time. And here's where I want to, and this is the point I wanted to get to in this first segment that I think is so interesting. You guys watch Yellowstone at all?
Oh, yeah.
No?
Nope.
No, so one person. So I'm only on like 6 episodes into it or whatever. It's like
This season's not that great.
It's whatever. I think honestly, the show's like, to me, is like, it's fine. It's fine.
It's no succession.
There's this one character in there. Everybody kind of knows that it's kind of like it, right? But like worse than like it.
Yeah, just worse.
Yeah. So it's a daughter figure who's sort of a tortured soul. People are going to roll their eyes and be like, that's not how the story. Just giving broad strokes here. Tortured soul who is in town to help her father with this dispute that they're going on. And she's like tortured and going crazy. Like this is putting her in her worst self, like this situation, and she's going crazy. And there's the scene with the dad where she's like screaming in the background, like losing her mind. And he's like, yeah, I need her to be evil for me right now. So like, this is what I need. I need this worst version of her for my purposes. Yeah. And it kind of got me thinking, it reminded me of Jokic in this moment right now. Of that.
Welcome to the show, Dan.
No, I'm being serious about this. So
I get it.
So Jokic
there's
right now.
a horse crossover here somewhere.
There's a horse crossover coming on. Jokic right now is everything's been taken away from him. Murray's been taken away from him. Michael Porter's been taken away from him. Will Barton's been taken away from him. The schedule is ridiculous. This first half of the schedule against Denver right now, on the road nonstop, playing so many games in a row. All of this, like he is being forced right now. He's never quit. He's being forced to either quit or just like pack it in or compromise or this or that, or somehow push himself from the MVP he was last year to just like the only way you could win is if you perform better than you're capable of. So he's pushing his limits right now every single night in the NBA, and he's accepting that challenge for whatever reason. We thank God for him. But right now, I really do feel like he's getting better every game because he's being pushed so hard right now, and it's torturing him. He's clearly getting technicals. He's getting thrown out. All this stuff is happening, but the real result of it is he is being sharpened as a player, and we're starting to see the biggest results of that.
I think for me, one of the big evolutions, and I did talk about that on last night's show. Dane's here. Don't want to repeat myself too much. One of the things he's learning now too is what is required of me in this very moment, this very possession, this very quarter, this very game, this stretch of schedule. You can keep backing it out, and his internal clock now of like, I think this is when I'm going to press the scoring button, or I'm going to be in playmaking mode, or this is a game that requires not just my stats, but me setting the tone from the jump. His understanding of these things, it's LeBron-esque in my opinion, in some of the ways that he's looking at I don't want to say load management because that's such a negative connotation, but the load management of being a superstar and a team that's relying on you so heavily. And so how to manage that, not just be great every night, but take care of himself, maintain himself. It's so impressive.
But also the mental toughness that it takes for what he's in right now. 100%. Like he's honestly carved of iron right now. Jokic is carved of iron both physically to be able to do this, but also just mentally to like every night the bench is going to give you a minus 15. So you got to win every night by 15 points, man. And just and it's going to suck. You're going to get super frustrated, but just keep going. And he is right now. He keeps going, and he's better right now. I honestly believe this. He is better right now than he was the first week of this season, and he was better the first week of the season than he was last year when he won MVP.
Yeah, I think it goes back to when you face adversity, you find out stuff about yourself. And when the Nuggets had all these injuries happen and the COVID absences and whatnot, Jokic kind of realized that he can do this, and it's really up to him. Yeah. Like it's really on him every single night. And I think he just kind of looks at this pretty simply. We don't know everything about Jokic, but I think we know a lot about him. And one of the things is I think he has a tremendous amount of pride.
Oh my God.
And
a problematic amount of pride.
He won MVP last year. And I just think he thinks about it as I just have to be better than I was last year. Because I'm 1 year further in the league. I'm 1 year more experienced. We're trying to get better as a team. I have to be a better player than I was last year. And that combined with what the Nuggets need from him right now and all that adversity that he's faced, those two things have come together into this dominant player who every single night just knows that it's up to me. And he's delivering.
It's so interesting to me to compare the adversity that Denver is facing now and kind of stepping up through it as Jokic is versus the adversity that the Timberwolves have faced for the past, basically since the Jimmy Butler era. And when adversity has come over the past 3 years, they've crumbled.
Right.
And a lot of that falls on the shoulders of your best player.
Right.
Right. And I mean, the Wolves 2 years ago, they started well, 10-8. The Timberwolves fans listening to this will know, like, there's that weird Chris Paul jersey tuck game. They lose that game, and it kind of like
so tough.
Wow, that is a throwback.
But what happened there was then the Wolves are 10-8, and then they start an 11-game losing streak.
Right,
and then they win a couple of games, or they go like with 3 of the next 5 or something, and then they go on a 13-game losing streak because injuries come around Cat. Cat got injured in that himself too. But the Timberwolves team has, whenever they faced anything like what Denver is facing this year, it's like white flag.
Right.
That's what it's been for the past few years. And, I still think Jokic is, even with this depleted group, is surrounded by some better personnel than Cat has been in previous years, but not that much.
Yeah.
And he is, the carving the iron, the stepping up through all of it. He is doing that, and it's really interesting for me to hear the three of you guys talk about how excited you are about this team through adversity, where I feel like the Timberwolves fan base, when adversity comes, they lose faith in Cat.
Right.
And it's a pretty sinking feeling, right?
And I don't know, like, to win a championship, you can't do this. Like, no one player in NBA history can carry a team all the way to a title, like all the way through. The Nuggets are going to have to get lucky and get healthy and enough guys contributing at the end. I just know that, or I just believe that the adversity Denver has faced, not even, like, we go back to the 7 when Denver won the 7 and stuff, like, that is their trait. This is what you're talking about. Minnesota maybe has waved the white flag when things come by. Like, Jokic deals his heels in and is like, let's see if we can do this. We only have 7 healthy bodies. Let's go out there and see if we can win on the road on a back-to-back, and they do. And I just think that's a trait. And it is, in some ways, like, how this all happens is so fascinating, because I do feel like there's important moments in people's lives, but this is certainly true of basketball players, where it's like, this was a decision point. You can go this way or that way. And some through probably dumb luck, like Jokic has become a much more serious person as he's matured. Yeah. But just he's had these little crossroads, and every single one of them, he has bounced in the direction of, no, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm going to get better from it, or this or that. And we're at this point now where, another metaphor I'm going to throw at you guys here for this one, you're going to really, if you hated the last one, you're going to really hate this one.
I love the last one.
I honestly think Jokic is like a wolf that lost his pack.
Okay.
Wolves are pack hunters, right? Like, that's the strength of them, is they work together. I feel like he is a great hunter who now all of a sudden has been forced to get more lean and more creative and more like, now he like hunts like a lion, because it's like, I don't have anybody here to help. He has teammates. I'm not trying to diminish him. It's just that he has to become better at what he was already great at. He's had to become even better at it. And if we talk about tangible things, we've talked about his aggressiveness all this time. Jokic is so aggressive right now, ridiculously aggressive. He looks like he's trying to score it personally every time down the court, and he's been like not aggressive at all. Then like, oh, he's starting to get this. He's at a level right now he just would not have been if Jamal Murray was healthy. He would not be trying to dominate and score individually as much as he is, and it benefits him.
Right, because now we know he knows he can.
He knows. I feel like he proved to himself.
And and what all of his teammates have said to him right since the jump, dude, they can't guard you. And that can be that they can't guard us going through you, but sometimes it's just that they can't guard you. Yeah. And you need to do that. And it's reluctant, but it's a part of his game now. And the scoring is at a level, I think it's such an all-around contribution. We almost fail to isolate and appreciate the scoring. Or if he was a score-first player putting up these numbers on this efficiency, and that was all he was doing, we would be lauding it. Yeah. And it's like, we're lauding Jokic, but it's this holistic impact. But to your point, he is a tier 1 scorer right now.
Oh, he's the 4th best scorer in the NBA. And he might actually be better than that, because he takes fewer shots than the guys ahead of him.
And to think that was once a knock on him, right? It's crazy.
Why can't teams take him away? Is the answer as simple as he's too good of a passer?
Well, you can't double. You can't just double. You can't double.
That's what I mean, is he has he doesn't have any weaknesses.
But what about now when he's not surrounded by 3 or 4 shooters?
That is honestly how you beat him, is other guys are just that bad that it's like, well, he generated all these looks and nothing came of it. But
you still will double him for an entire game, and he'll get 30. Like,
he's scoring through doubles now.
He's scoring through doubles, and then there's a possession where the double doesn't come as soon as it should, and he scores.
It's one mistake, man. Yeah, that's what I mean about
the defense. Doesn't bring the right rotation. He scores. So whatever's being thrown at him, he's just scoring.
And he's so patient through it to this point. Like, okay, he understands these doubles are coming, and then on a possession basis, do I just take the open pass, or to Wynn's point, they made a slight mistake. There's my opening. I'm scoring, and he just has it figured out. My dad texted me that about Jokic, and I think we all, as sports fans, the greats in any sport, they figure the game out, don't they? It slows down around them, and it's an inarticulable bit of genius or artistry, depending on. But it is like Larry Braun levels. The game is really slow for him right now.
It's incredible to watch. I feel like last night the season came into focus to me, because let's all be honest, the season hasn't been the most enjoyable of the Jokic era. Like, it's been a struggle, it's been a grind, and I feel like watching him over this last game, it made sense to me. Jokic is suffering, as we all are, but he is suffering in a way that is almost necessary, in the byproduct of this suffering is just making him so much better than any of us really thought possible. And we'll see how it all comes together.
How long can he suffer?
Yeah.
I honestly have more. If it was anybody else, you're right. I would say I don't know. But with Jokic, I'm like, I think this is his lot. He's just going to be pushed to be the best possible version of himself, and that version is unassailable. And it might actually just be good enough that by the end of this year, he is good enough that he knows he can dominate anybody. Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, it doesn't matter. He knows that he's above all of those guys.
One point, though, a little bit of a pushback, not pushback, but just with the leadership thing, Jokic does get a lot of help. I mean, by example, he leads on the court. Emotionally, Jamal Murray is also a big part of the digging your heels in. It's a Michael Malone trade as well, and probably a cyclical thing in the combination of these guys. But I do want to stop short of saying like he is single-handedly the reason why they're not like where Minnesota is.
It's just that he's being asked to do more than he's capable of. And every time he's asked to do it, his capability level rises, and it's incredible. Sure. We'll take a break. You guys never heard about Yellowstone Wolf 21? Anybody familiar with it? Incredible
Wait,
story.
Is that Yellowstone or Lone Wolf?
No, this is actually a different. I see why you're confused now. This is the actual wolf.
Oh, this is the badass wolf.
This is the most. Honestly the greatest wolf that ever lived.
Who's going to
check it out? Google it. It's a great one. All right, Win, take us to our first break. On the other side, let's talk about the Timberwolves.
Yeah,
let's preview this game. Sorry, Dave. I just felt like you know how the season has a narrative. I just feel like I saw it for the first time. I was like, I get it. I get what this story's about now.
All right. Guys, make sure to pick up some Mile High City Copper Lager from Breckenridge Brewery. This week, it's Nugget season. It's the beer we drink during Nugget season. It's got that Nuggets blue can with the Nuggets logo on it. Make sure to pick some up from your local liquor store. Pick some up from your local grocery store. If you're out at the Breck Brew Farmhouse in Littleton, check it out. They got a really cool bar. Great food out there as well. If you're local, stop into the DNVR bar. We've got tons of Breck brews on tap. But make sure to pick up some Mile High City.
Do you think we have actual tons?
Lager.
Do you think we have tons of Breck Brew on tap? I don't think we have tons. That's an actual measurement we could verify.
Yeah,
or not
beer
verify.
is not measured in tons. I guess it'd be
liters. Yeah, we do have liters of it.
Also, guys, Ball. We're sponsored by Ball across the entire DNVR network. Yes, as in Ball Arena, where the Nuggets will play the Timberwolves tomorrow night, Wednesday night. But Ball came to us because they're looking to fill line capacity and hire production technicians at their plant in Golden. This position is on the front line of their aluminum beverage can production process at the Golden plant. They offer a competitive $27.39 per hour wage with potential for increases at 6, 12, and 18 months on the job. It offers exposure to a lot of other manufacturing opportunities in the plant, and the production technician role touches on the other stages of production, making aluminum cans and ends. So if you want more info, jobs.ball.com and search for Golden, or you can text Golden to 77222. That's jobs.ball.com and search for Golden, or text Golden to 77222.
Lycos asked if we have Rakia on tap. Like, I don't think Rakia you can have on. Maybe you can have on tap.
Well, it's got to be dark out to have Rakia. That's the first
That's your
requirement.
rule?
Yeah.
Is this your rule? Has to be sundown?
The sun has to be down.
Personal policy.
Dane, we're going to Serbia in the fall.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're not going to allow you to.
Well, that's Serbia. The rules are off the table. This is in America. Yeah, sun has to be down. That's the only requirement.
Peck was Serbian, right? I can't remember if he was Serbian or if it was another one of the Balkan countries. I can't remember.
For sure, Balkan.
Very Balkan.
He is currently missing. I don't
really.
Well, I don't know. They're trying to have like all these this year. Have like old Wolves players come back to games.
He's doing what Nikola Jokic will do in about 20 years.
100%.
He actually, if I recall right, might actually have some nefarious ties or something. Wait, let's move on. Let's move on quickly. All right, Dane. So the Timberwolves, as they have now, I think a couple seasons in a row, started out the gate. It was like, oh, here they are. The Timberwolves are back. They didn't send out the tweet this year that the Wolves are back or whatever. No tweet. But honestly, they have looked at moments in the season like a great team. I know they're on a little bit of a slide. How would you paraphrase the season so far for the Wolves?
Well, Adam, when you came on my show before the season, I was really interested to talk to you about this defensive scheme change that Chris Finch, who was in Denver previously, was going to instill in Minnesota, and he named it like to Jokic, to Malone, to what Denver's been doing. That's how we want to play defense. And that was kind of my fascination coming into the year because it's been, Cat's career, first 6 years in the league, they've been a bottom 10 defense every single time. It's been the problem. Whereas he can probably, if he has a healthy season, he's pretty much a walking top 10 offense.
Right.
So that's the big change for the Wolves this year, and it worked.
Wow.
They've been top 10 defensively pretty much the entire season. That scrambling scheme.
By the way, this is a trend out the season. A lot of teams are changing from drop to being more aggressive with their bigs.
And I think that's synergizing well with the way that the league's being refereed this year.
Right.
You can get away with your big being a little bit more physical up there. And ultimately, to me, having Cat back, he's just was never that big of a individual, right? So to have him back running drop or just keeping him by the rim like you would a Joel Embiid, that never really made sense. I wasn't sure that a change would lead to a top 10 defense, but a change has been huge for this team, and it's why they've had extended stretches of good play this year because they're using Cat specifically different, and he has said this is the way he wants to play. He said that before the season. He wants to get up, and that reminds me so much of Jokic. Remember a few years ago where Malone went to him and said, how do you want to play? And Jokic said, I want to play this way. And so it's kind of been the same, it's been the same boost that this team has gotten. And they got a bunch of 6'8" athletes around them, scramble, get out, contest shots. But what you also said on this show, which was prescient, on that show, was that type of defense, you get a little tired.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now here we are, 25 games into the year. Over the past week or couple weeks, it's dropped back down to kind of that bottom 10 level defense. And so I'm curious to see if it has that arc, which you said, which it comes out hot,
right?
You get a little bit lazy in the middle of the season, and then pick it back up if you're going to be in it for the end of the season. But that is the story for why the Wolves are decent this year, is that they're actually playing defense, and then the offense has been terrible.
So it is funny. So you talked about offensively or defense. The team's guarding Timberwolves right now. Jared Vanderbilt starting there.
Yeah.
He can't shoot. Really, he's kind of limited.
He's hit a corner three last 2 games.
Has he really?
He has.
Do you buy it at all though? I mean, that shot.
He's definitely hitting one
to.
tomorrow night. Definitely.
He might go 5 for 5 from the corners.
But he's got to shoot them.
Yeah,
because
sure.
it is, as I was alluding to before with Cat. I mean, he is not able to pick apart the double teams the way Jokic is. It's not his skill set.
Right.
He's struggling immensely. His post-up numbers are terrible this season because he's got the small on him who can move his feet, move their feet with him. And then you got Capella or Jared Allen at the rim. That's a tough. All right, I gotta beat a quick-footed guy who's guarding me at 18 feet.
Yeah.
And then I have the center at the rim. That's tough.
Yeah.
And really, teams can afford to guard the Wolves this way because despite all the great things Jared Vanderbilt is doing from energy, offensive rebounding, it totally messes up the Wolves' offense. They're third to last in half-court offense.
That's something I feel like I take for granted when watching Jokic, his ability to pass out of the double team. When you're watching
you are, man.
When you're watching another
NBA
game, just watch the big pass out of a double team. Embiid, Towns, any of these top-tier bigs, it's just not even close to the same. It's crazy.
The second big is scared.
Yeah.
The second big is scared that Jokic is going to expose him.
Yeah.
Right? In that time it takes to take those 2-3 steps over to bring the double.
Right.
There's this trepidation to bring the double on Jokic. With Cat, it's let's do this. This is work. The scout is out there from the past 5 games. This is how you slow down the Wolves' offense. This is how you slow down Cat. You put Cat out on the perimeter, Jokic, Embiid, Gobert, none of the 5s can guard him on the perimeter right now. He lost 15, 20 pounds this offseason. His attack in the basket game is as good as it's ever been. Against
smalls?
Even it works best against a big, but he's still able to get that step on the smalls. But again, now he can get by John Collins, but now Clint Capella's there.
Right.
That's a big difference of, all right, am I getting by Clint Capella and then John Collins, 6'8", is there at the rim. So it's been the thing that has stalled out the Wolves' offense.
It's so interesting what teams, how they decide to utilize their weapons, because Jared Vanderbilt is an anchor on their offense because of this very reason. And I shouldn't even say on their offense, on Cat in particular. It makes his job hard.
Yes.
But when you talk about this aggressive scheme, this is what he's actually good at.
So good.
You need to have, as the power forward in this scheme, you need to have an incredible motor. You have to cover a lot of ground, and you have to be able to read and react quickly. I don't know what his read and reaction like if he's reading the court well, but he plays with an insane motor. I mean, his motor is a crazy person's motor, and he can cover a ton of ground, and that's what you need. How has he been in terms of like just reading it and being in the right spots?
So I was kind of focused in on the power forward specifically there in the low man concept, right?
Yeah.
But they've really had. It doesn't have to be the 4 who's the
of
low
course,
man.
yeah.
So they've some of the other guys have done a good job of that. Torian Prince has started a lot. You know, he understands the low man concept.
Yeah.
Josh Okogie, when he's been in there in those ways too. Jaden McDaniels, like when this defense is working, not just Vanderbilt is playing the low man well. Like they all are. They're getting into to touch the roller there and be able to scramble back out. Like they're giving up a bunch of threes, but they're contesting them well, and opponents are not making them at a high rate. And, a lot of people say, it's 3-point variance, but it's that scheme, that scramble. And you have a guy, you're spotted up in the corner, and Jared Vanderbilt is sprinting out at you to contest your shot. Like,
right.
That's scary when you're the shooter that way. So to that, I mean, the scrambling part of the defense, I think, has worked really well. And Cat likes it. He's more engaged when he can be up in the ball. Now teams are starting to pick it apart a little bit more. You got some tape on it. So I'm curious to see how much it holds from a defensive standpoint.
I've got one. I found the Wolves have sort of, at least to start the year, I haven't watched them as much, emerging identity as like suddenly very athletic, very physical, a lot of big, strong bodies flying around. Do you agree with that assessment? And do you like dogs, that direction it's headed in?
They got dogs.
Who are they? Who are the dogs?
I mean, Vando is Pat
sure.
Bev.
Edwards.
Pat Bev, yeah.
Those guys.
The starting 5 has turned out to be pretty awesome.
Right.
I mean, you got the Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, Cat, and then the other 2 are Pat Bev and Jared Vanderbilt. This sounds like a fake stat, but that starting 5 in their minutes together this year has a net rating of plus 50.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
plus 50?
Pretty good.
Plus 50, best in the NBA.
Pretty good.
I mean,
Wait, how many minutes is this?
108.
Okay.
Not a ton, but it is their starting lineup. I mean,
it's
they've now
100
gone
minutes.
They kind of. It took them a while to like. All right, are we going to start Vando because of the spacing issues? They had Pat Bev off the bench at first. D'Lo's missed 5 games.
Yeah.
But obviously, they're not going to have a plus 50 net rating the whole time. But they found what their best 5 are, and it works because those 2 guys are dogs. And like, I mean, Pat Bev's going to fight you at the point of attack. Jared Vanderbilt's not scared of anybody. Like, he'll take a hit to the face every single game, and like he knows like that comes with the territory of being the energy guy for this team. But even behind them, like not as talented, but like Torian Prince will fight with you.
Right.
Josh Okogie hasn't been in the rotation really, but
he's out, huh?
Yeah, he's been.
That's too bad. I like.
Well, you can't. He's not shooting either. So it's.
Yeah.
I mean, now you certainly can't play him at the 3 if Vanderbilt's out there at the 4.
Right.
But it's kind of like inspired some of the other guys who I think, from 10,000 feet, you wouldn't put that. You wouldn't say D'Angelo Russell's a dog, Anthony Edwards is a dog, but like it's there's been some trickle down there.
Sure.
And D'Lo's guarding this year. Like D'Lo's playing defense.
But sometimes that's what you need is you have your skill players, and obviously they have 3 very good skill players. So yeah, you need the dogs around them that are willing to do all of that dirty work.
I'm excited to watch Vando because we never saw him in Denver.
Yeah.
He was here for a year and a half. He played felt like 5 total games with the Nuggets in garbage time minutes. But the front office believed in him, like the rebounding numbers, the defensive potential.
The offensive rebounding is incredible.
Yeah, the front office really, really liked him. Because of that, I think we liked him. We were always intrigued, but he always profiled as a 4 that, like maybe this guy could fit next to Jokic. Aaron Gordon's obviously like a better version of that,
for sure.
And Denver's found that guy for sure. But I'm excited to watch Vanderbilt.
Well, it is interesting because, last year when Gordon's name was out there floating, I mean, I was a pretty big proponent of the Wolves going after Gordon in that sort of way. I mean, similar. Cat and Jokic are different, but there's a lot of similarities there too, where I think the ideal 4 you want to put next to either of those guys is kind of like the Gordon archetype, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so Vanderbilt, I think they still need that Aaron Gordon. They definitely do. but like Vanderbilt is a good discounted version of that I wouldn't. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, yeah, that could be like the backup, the third.
You
big
spend the
of
money
future.
elsewhere.
And he signed for like a 3-year, $12 million deal.
Yeah.
Like
Nice.
that's that's money. Like if you can make.
Is he a
that
fan
happen.
favorite right now? Like the try-hard fan favorite?
Yeah, him and Pat Bev in that
Really,
sort
even
of way.
Pat Bev?
Yeah, no, I mean,
I never think of Pat Bev being beloved.
I think if he's your guy,
Even then, I kind
think
of feel like
yeah, man. But like, I don't know. Like, I'm all in on Facu right now.
the reason. Yeah, well, but the
it
reason
is like that.
Yeah, if Facu was a Blazer, I would hate that motherfucker.
Pat Bev just like chirped a lot, though, is the thing. Like he kept calling his shots too many times, and I almost feel like if you call your shot, and
The
don't get it,
Minnesota
your
arc's
fan-
good for him, though. Do you agree? It's like almost like a sort of
They needed
humbling.
it.
I kind of like where he's at. I like it a little more.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Like, he kind of wanted to come to Minnesota. I mean, obviously, you're leaving the Clippers in that situation.
That's all I mean by humbling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's actually worked well. I think he saw something in Cat, but most importantly, like, saw something in D'Angelo Russell, that there's like more there.
Yeah.
And he's talked about kind of being, a team that's like fighting for that 7-8 seed,
Yeah.
like the Clippers were before they got, Kawhi and Paul George and all that. Like,
It's an underdog team. It's an underdog team, and that's what Pat.
Yeah, he slots into that well.
He's trying to get another check too. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
he's a free agent at the end of the season. He's trying to prove that.
It's like his last big check too, probably.
Yeah,
Was
he wants
30?
to have like the PJ Tucker late 30s, right?
Sure.
Rather than the like fall out of the
Yeah.
NBA late 30s for a defensive guy. So he's actually been he's been a good player for this team this year, and should be like problematic at the point of attack for playing the Nuggets tomorrow. Like, he's healthy. Like,
Pat Bev Facu tomorrow might create a nuclear explosion.
I just want to clear
court
out and
ends.
let those two go 82 feet or 92 feet. Yeah, just full court.
That will happen.
One-on-one.
That will happen.
Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll start to get into more specifics of what we expect from this game tomorrow, and maybe like keys to watch that you might not have thought of.
If you guys are looking for a Christmas gift, we got 11 days. Only
Yeah.
11 days.
Yeah,
That can't be right. I thought I had more time than
I'm
that.
taking this box with me. That's
Yeah.
what
lots and lots.
Check out Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Use the code DNVR. You're going to get 20% off plus free shipping. That's at manscaped.com with the code DNVR. Get 20% off plus free shipping.
Ladies, that's a gift for them and you. Just saying.
It is. They've got some great stocking stuffers.
Give
They've
yourself
got
the gift.
Give yourself
the
the gift.
Freshly shaven
Manscaped
balls.
2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. They've got
With the pump. Don't forget. Look at it right there. Big fan of the pump.
There it is, right on the table.
Yeah.
They've got the
You're in the shower. You
Manscaped
just have to just pump it on the thing. You
cologne
have to open it up.
infused
Great.
body wash.
Small perk.
Manscaped signature cologne. They've got tons of stuff other than just the Lawnmower 4.0, the classic. So make sure to go to manscaped.com. Use the code DNVR. Get 20% off. Order it. You probably have to order this very, very soon to get it in time for Christmas. So manscaped.com, DNVR. Get 20% off your entire purchase. This week at DraftKings, guys, football fans, I'm sure we all love an action-packed, high-scoring NFL game with the latest no-brainer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. You'll be a winner once a single point is scored. New customers who bet just $1 on any team to score can win $100 in free bets.
Is that likely in football?
It's going to happen.
Okay.
Just don't bet on the Lions.
Thank you for that tip. That's a great year.
That's some shark knowledge right
Wow.
there. DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also get their skin in the game with new same-game parlays. Get those for NBA games, of course. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR. Bet $1 on any team to score. Win $100 in free bets. That's with promo code DNVR this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Finally, Hassel Cattle Company. They're hooking it up for the holidays. Get 15% off your entire purchase.
Better order now.
When you use the code DNVR15. Yeah, you got to order this ASAP.
Holiday
if you want
beef
it for
train?
Christmas. Yeah, if you want to
Holiday beef
just
train.
give a friend or family member just a pile of meat for Christmas.
That's a great gift.
Yeah, it's a great gift. It's an unforgettable gift.
Hop on that beef train.
DNVR 15 for 15% off your purchase from Hassel Cattle Company. If you order over $200, you're going to get free shipping with that as well. But DNVR 15 at HassleCattleCompany.com.
That's what my sister's getting for Christmas.
15%
I can't figure it out. She's getting meat.
Clip that.
She's getting Hassel Cattle Company. Shit.
Final
So
segment
close.
here. So let's preview this game here. The Nuggets now on a 2-game winning streak. It's a little streak
Wow.
going on. We're going streaking. They got another game on home before going out on the road. We don't know the status of Will Barton just yet, although I'd be shocked if this non-COVID related illness lasted another game. I would start to get concerned, to be honest.
I know. I tried to ask what it was last game, and just like not feeling well.
Man, what a bummer.
Yeah.
But we suspect
I bet he'll be back.
Suspect he'll be back. We'll see with Aaron Gordon, who is dealing with back soreness, then played 40 minutes
And threw
And
down a
windmilled.
windmill.
and
Yep.
windmilled.
Full extension windmill.
So we'll see what the status is there. Dane, what can you tell us about just what momentum is the Timberwolves are carrying in? I know they got a big emotional win the other day.
1-game winning
One
streak.
game. One in a row.
No, I mean, I would say for any team that's like playing the Wolves right now, like they can beat you.
Yeah,
Like they
for sure.
They and that's not probably other years when like the Wolves have came to town. You're like,
Right.
this is probably a Nuggets win. You know, they have a really talented big three. Like
Yeah.
and I think what was big in the end of the game when they beat Portland on Sunday, Cat, D'Lo, and Ant did it all together.
Yeah.
And that had been a big problem over the course of this year in fourth quarters. I'd say baton passing, you know, where it was
Yeah.
like your turn, my turn. That it naturally like progressed through the three of them. They talked about it after the game of like kind of being able to find, and that is hard to do. You
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
When you have three like high usage offensive weapon guys like that to figure out that balance. So I think they're starting to kind of like come around to that, to maximizing the big three. Vanderbilt and Pat Bev being a supporting cast for them. I think it's like it is a team that can come into Denver and beat them. It's also a team that, like, if you're the Nuggets and you punch first, I think particularly if you're able to exploit weaknesses of this defense, like you can really rip out the soul of this team. Like if they come out in the first quarter and they're scrambling around on defense, they lead the league in turnovers, like drawn. If they can get out quick and like put up 6-8 fast break points on you like early in the game, like they're gonna get inspired and they're gonna believe
Right.
that they can, you know, like we could play with Jokic but it really kind of just seems to swing like one way or the other there. For me, I'm just like it's kind of fascinating every game to see how the other team approaches the two most obvious weaknesses of this team, which is this Cat doubling problem. I think Gordon should guard Cat. I think he will. And then you're able to use
Might even be
Jokic.
Jeff Green, to be honest.
Yeah,
with you.
maybe
He's a
or
little
maybe
bigger.
yeah, just not and then you could put Gordon on Ant. I guess that would maybe make more sense.
That actually would.
But it's
Make more
that.
sense.
Can you do
Jokic
that?
on Vando all night's going to be hilarious. So many cross matches, too.
But which is that something that's exposing the Wolves? So it's kind of like all these things. Every single game, like, are you able to take away Cat early with those doubles?
Right.
And then defensively, like, how are you going to try and exploit the Wolves' very aggressive defensive scheme?
Let me ask you this, Harrison, because when the Jazz tried this, when they took Gobert off of Jokic to be like a help-oper, to me, it felt like the biggest wuss move in the history of basketball. Where I,
Patrick
like,
Beverly agrees with you.
If you're the defensive player of the year, you have to guard the best player.
it might make strategic sense, but there's just this little bit of psychological whatever. And I feel like the same with Jokic. Jokic just guard Towns. Let Jeff Green or Gordon be the roamer. You know, like it's fine also if they're that guy.
Well, I think Aaron Gordon's definitely going to guard one of Edwards or Russell.
Yeah.
Like that's how Denver's been playing it. They had him guarding Brad Beal the entire game, like last night. And I know the Wizards don't have a Towns, but
Right.
He's honestly been on guards almost more than he's been on bigs this season. So I would expect that. And yeah, I'm with you. Put
And Green's
Jokic
starting
on
at
him.
the 3 or 4 now. They're going with that front court now, so they could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be crazy to me if I'm a Nuggets scout and to watch the last 5 Wolves games and go, we're going to go with putting a center on Cat.
Right.
When literally when the Wolves fall apart is they can't solve this.
Yeah.
They can't solve this. So I hear Adam, I hear Pat Bev, but like that's what I would do.
It also might be. I wonder how much of a Jokic thing if Malone goes to Jokic and is like, "Hey, it's better if we bring you off." He's like, "No,"
Yeah.
because it's kind of personal between those two. Those two,
But maybe that's
like to measure.
That might also be exactly why you don't. Might be another reason why you don't. Like, hey, like, do you want to not get beat up and ejected and angry for like 5 minutes? We'll put you on someone else. I want to ask you too. I mean, I think I know the answer, but is there a noticeable difference in the way Cat approaches the Jokic matchup than other games? Does he approach it in any particular way?
100%. Yeah, I mean it's different. He measures himself against those guys, and he feels that a lot. I mean, he's fallen very clearly behind the Embiids and Jokic's of the league, but now even, I mean, is he better than a Gobert, or is he in the Clint Capella level of the centers in the league? And he certainly doesn't think so. He certainly has the talent to be better than that. So I remember you guys probably like saw the tweet of it or whatever, but last time when we were interviewing Kat before the Nuggets game, he talked about how this year he's before games watching videos of gorillas fighting.
Oh my God! Yeah,
to bump
Is
him
that
up.
real?
That was before the.
Are you buying that? Do you think he's really watching gorilla videos?
Jokic plays a video game on his phone.
Yeah.
horse trainer.
Cat might too.
Horse Trainer 2020.
You
like
know what's
horse
funny?
manager?
True story.
You like accumulate coins and buy horses.
He's not kidding, actually. Yeah, that's a
a
real
true
thing.
story.
I've seen him play.
so weird.
Yeah.
I mean, you always have to put what Cat's saying through a filter of is he saying it or is he doing it?
Yeah, that's right.
But like he plays well against Embiid, and he does. I think you are going to get a Karl Anthony Towns against Nikola Jokic that is very different than a Karl Anthony Towns guarded by like Goga Batadze when you're playing the Pacers. So you know what I'm saying? Like, so I mean, Cat's going to try and put it on him, and what are they going to, how are they gonna counter that? Because Cat can do that. Like,
absolutely,
Cat can expose Jokic in space if they put him in that spot. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. It's always fun.
I always like these games. I really do.
Yeah.
It will be.
So does Malik Beasley.
Oh yeah. Over under 22 shots from Malik Beasley.
Over.
Yeah, he'll take a lot of shots. What about D'Angelo Russell? I always see him on the plus, because we obviously are tracking Jokic's ridiculous on-off splits. D'Lo is another one of these guys whose on-offs are really ridiculous.
It's been really good. I mean, and a lot of people, point to the noise, the shooting a lesser 3-point percentage against when D'Lo's on the floor, all this and that, but he is trying defensively, and that makes a difference. They're putting him in a free safety role, sort of defensively. I don't know who will start at the 2 for the Nuggets.
I don't know, but maybe Barton.
Potentially
Hopefully
Barton. Yeah,
he'll hide as much as possible, and he'll play free safety there. And when the Wolves are up playing defense more aggressively, D'Lo will be in that low man thing sometimes, and he knows how to be there. He's not big, but he knows how to be there. Like, D'Lo's been good this year, and which is crazy because he's shooting a career low from 2 and 3. But when he's on the floor, like, the Wolves have been way better this year. Not just with the starters. Like, he kind of inspires that second unit too, which is pretty like ragtag for this team. The Chris Finch, D'Angelo Russell like pairing has really worked. Those guys are
he's conforming to that emerging identity kind of thing, the defense and
for sure. And again, and I don't say this in a pejorative way, but like he talked about it on media day too. He's trying to get paid. He's extension eligible this summer as well. And if you're on a 24 win team, that misses the playoffs, you're not going to get paid. So his team is like motivated. They're not just gonna. They'll roll over if you get up by 15 or 20 on them. But I think you'll see an engaged Wolves team.
Nice. You talked about the big three working together. I know this is a tough question. How well do they seem to get along, and not just get along personality wise, but I mean get along as basketball players?
I think those are separate questions, probably. I think you have Cat and D'Lo, who are both 26, and you have Ant, who's 20.
Yeah, he's very much 20.
And he's very much 20, yeah. So there's like this difference in the way, like how together they are off the court, I think. Not in like a Simmons and Bede dislike each other way, but that's just a human thing. You're different. That's a college kid.
It's super common. Also, I think it's hard to know that definitively. That's why I'm more interested in just like on the court. Do they have this like acceptance? Here, I'll give you this. Jokic, Murray, perfect acceptance of the way those two operate together. Jokic, Murray, and MPJ, they're knights, but there's also a lot of times where you're kind of like, is MPJ just a corner guy? Meaning, is he happy in the little role that he has to take on? Those three, when you see them working together, does it always feel like somebody has to?
It's always it's Knight's best case for the Wolves. With like, there's nights where it works. Yeah. Most of the time, it doesn't. And honestly, I don't know if this is ultimately going to be a 3-man pairing that you want to like continue to build around.
Sure. I'll give you a hot take. I don't know if there are 3-man pairings. What's the best 3-man pairing in the NBA, like historically even?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know. I mean,
right
even
now?
you think about – no, I'm just saying like –
Also,
yeah,
is it-
but you know the thing
is it
about no.
pairing with three people?
Here's the thing: is that KD? That's a little bit ridiculous because those guys were so good.
Kyrie, Harden, and Durant were very good last year.
Who?
Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant.
See, I kind of disagree. I feel like those were three guys that you always had one that was like just a little bit on the odds. And even if you go like Chris Bosh is a great example of this, he was better than what he was needed, so he had to be less impressive than what he was capable of being individually.
They're not going to all be what they can be.
Correct. And that's what I'm kind of wondering. And so trying to fit three guys that are all offensive-oriented players, I think is actually tough, and it pertains to Denver as well.
As opposed to like a Drew Holiday third piece in Milwaukee.
1,000%.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't work very well with the Wolves in the like again, I said the last game they seem to play off of each other well in the fourth quarter, but a lot of the time, it's going to be the last 6 minutes, and you're going to kind of try and go to two-man game with Cat and D'Lo, which just puts Ant in the corner, and he checks out there.
Is he the one that most goes to the third option, do you think?
In crunch time.
In the crunch time.
Yeah, I mean, he leads the team in shots, so he's definitely getting his,
that.
generally speaking.
Love that.
But yeah, I don't know. They need to grow there.
Right.
They need to figure this out more. It's not there. It isn't
You
there.
need reps, You need tons and tons of late game situations to filter that stuff out and
Learning how to
find out
lose
what you are.
and win together, right? Like all the lessons that Timberwolves game 82 is a good example, right? You go through all these things together, and you can end up a far more experienced group than your age or average age, which suggests of your core.
Which I think that the time thing is so interesting. I'm thinking about this back at the beginning when we were talking about Jokic, and he's ready to deal with this adversity. I think part of that is the fact that he's been there with this group for 5 years. If this adversity came 3 years ago, does he have as much belief in the overall thing? Is he as invested in everything? The Wolves are so much earlier in the process of it that, which kind of sucks for them, is they got to make a decision on, are we going to do Cat, Ant, and D'Lo kind of this summer? D'Lo's extension eligible, Cat's extension eligible. That's why this year for the Timberwolves is so important to be do you believe in big threes? Do you believe that these three guys go together? Because if not, you need to pivot.
Right.
And it's a big pivot. To break up your three.
Clay's such an interesting one, Kale, because I think Michael Porter should be Klay Thompson, in theory. But the thing about Klay Thompson is he only touches it when he shoots or passes it right back to where it came and then keeps moving. It's his decision tree is it forks. It's just there's two branches on it. It's, am I open enough to shoot? If not, just pass it back to Jokic, move again, and just repeat that formula. And Porter is a better talent than just doing that.
Yeah.
But he'd also would be really good at just doing that, as Klay Thompson is really good at just doing that. And maybe
as
that's
Wins
the formula.
pointed out, some of Porter's very best games came from just doing that.
Three dribbles,
35
points.
Yeah. So
you got to choose if you want to be the number two or not. I mean, if you are the number three, you have to be that. Or if you're Anthony Edwards, you have to go to the corner. Sometimes you have to engage yourself. If you're Michael Porter Jr., you need to be able to recognize that. And I think when you're 20 years old like Anthony Edwards, how old is MPJ? 23?
24?
Yeah,
23, I think.
You have this vision of what you're going to become individually.
Right.
And you are not going to become that if you play like Klay Thompson in their heads, right?
Completely agree. And I think it's even part of why Denver was comfortable paying Michael Porter. And we've talked about this before, but I'm curious if Michael Porter's career just got cut shorter by a third back surgery. I wonder if he's less concerned about that next contract and more I'm only playing now to win championships. I'm never going to break records. I'm never going to get another $180 million deal, so might as well just play out the string and do what I need. Maybe not. It's a wishful thinking on my part.
Ant in a vacuum, outside of those dynamics we were just talking about, just general thoughts this year, how inspired are you, hopeful about him in the future?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, inspired. The way people talk about Ant is the way that you guys talked about Jokic the first 15 minutes, right? And there's just, again, not all Cat's fault, but there's a lot of Cat fatigue in Minnesota because there's been so much losing. Ant, it's not like he's having a great shooting year or anything like that, but you're more willing to believe in the flashes of him because of the youth and because of, because it could be something else down the line. Cat, this is year 7, So, I mean, Ant, as a basketball player, he's got the physical tools, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, personality stuff matters too. He's a blast.
He's great. Yeah.
He really is. I mean, it's a very different type of player to cover than the other guys I have, but I feel lucky, to be and see what he's going to become, because who he is right now as a 20-year-old, as a person, he's not going to we all change from the time
Yeah.
we go from being 20 to 25, and I'm fascinated to see what that looks like for Anthony Edwards, because I think what that is will define who he becomes as a basketball player.
Interesting, man. Really interesting. Well, that wraps it up. I know Dane's got to get over to Ball Arena for Timberwolves practice, but this was a great conversation. Dane, we always love doing the show, and I'm glad we got to do it in person this time.
I know. It's been a long time coming, and I think they're back here on April Fools. So
Are you going to come back out?
I don't know. I might. We'll see. I'm kind of
Nice.
feeling out how much traveling makes sense this year and doing some of the trips. But yeah, it's just this is super cool to be here and to see all this. I'm jealous.
Good to have you,
Awesome,
in,
man. Really good. Everybody else, hit that like button on the way out. Don't forget the pregame show tomorrow. Don't forget the party bus, January 16th. We're going right from here to the arena and back, and then we're going to have a giant party afterwards. It's going to be great. Hopefully, watch the Nuggets just absolutely destroy the Utah Jazz. Vibes will be
So
immaculate.
happy it's the Jazz.
It'll be a lot of fun. It's $100. The tickets retail for $104, so it's a discounted ticket plus the party bus. Don't have to pay for parking. It's going to be a lot of fun. Adios, everybody.